This is a tutorial for your Anagram project. This just introduces you to a few new and hopefully useful methods for dealing with lists and some methods for dealing with manipulation of data. So what I asked you to do was to set up a list of words, choose one of those words at random, turn that word into an anagram by mixing up that word's letters, present that to the user, ask the user to unscramble the word, and test whether or not the word has been unscrambled. So here's one way to do it. There are lots and lots of ways to deal with this, but here's one fairly simple way. So you begin with our favorite import statement, import random, and we're going to use this to select a random choice of our list as well as to randomize a couple other things later on. And then we're going to set up our dictionary of words. And so for this, I'm going to use a word list that contains a whole bunch of Marvel characters. So what I want to be able to do here is choose a random word from this word list. And that's pretty easy to do with our random library. We use random.choice and feed word list into choice, and we end up getting a random word from that word list. We're going to store that word as a variable word, and then we'll use that later on. Okay, so now we've got the word that we're going to scramble. So then the question is, how do we scramble it? And this is probably the place where most of you were stuck on this assignment. So there are a lot of ways to do this. The way that I'm doing it is just one of them. What I'm going to do is I'm going to set up a new list, and this list is going to contain all of the letters from the word that we just chose. Right now this list is empty, so I'm going to denote that with the 2 square brackets. And then I'm going to loop through the word. Now, one trick with strings in Python is that when you loop through a string using a for loop, it will loop through every letter of that string. So what I want to do is I want to create a list of all of the letters in the word that I've chosen. And then I want to shuffle that list. So the first thing I'm going to do is feed each letter from the list into the letters array. And so I'm going to say for I in word. What that'll do is it'll go through each string, each character, and then I will append I to my empty array letters. So by the time I get through this for loop, what I'm going to have is a letters array that contains each letter from the word that I've chosen. And then I'm going to take that letters list, and I'm going to use random.shuffle to shuffle those letters around. So now I've got a list that contains the letters from my word and has shuffled them. So now that I have this shuffled list, I want to then turn that back into a string that I can present to my user. So I'm going to create a variable called display string, and I'm going to set that to an empty string. And then I'm going to go through that shuffled list for I in letters. And I'm going to add each letter from my shuffled list to my display string. And what this is going to do is it's going to create a mixed up version of the word that was chosen. And then I'm going to ask the user to unscramble the display string. So I'm going to go user equals raw input, unscramble this, and then I'm going to give the user the display string. And then all I need to do is test whether the user's input equals the word that I chose earlier in line 5. And if it does, print you win. And if the user's input does not equal the word that I chose in line 5, print you lose. And that's it. So we'll show how this works. When I press run, it gives me unscramble this, and it gives me the letters for Thor. And if I put in Thor, it says you win. Do it again. Okay, it's given me a different one. This is looks like Iron Man. But I'm going to do it wrong. I'm going to type in Thanos instead. And it's going to recognize that this is not the word that I want, and it'll tell me that I lose. So that's it. So this is all about data manipulation and taking lists and turning them into strings, taking strings and turning them into lists, and checking user input versus the stored data. So hopefully this was helpful. If you have any questions about it, please ask questions in the Coding Help Forum. And thank you for watching.